Thank you. It's always good to be here. I wish I could be here every time, but we got a lot of stuff going on. We're starting to win victories, and I thought it was important to kind of get you up to date. And I know he keeps me on the clock. It's going to ding on me here in a minute. And he told me, he said, we don't need any big historical stories this time. But there was one thing. I feel like an auctioneer already. And I apologize, I got to leave as soon as I get done because I've got to get back to D.C. We are negotiating right now on this budget deal. We got about $30 billion we got to cut out of this budget. And let me tell you, it's different than it used to be. I'm actually sitting in the Speaker's office and we're talking. That never happened before under Boehner. That's one of the reasons with the House Freedom Caucus we saw that we had to make the change, and we have a new speaker that is actually giving conservatives a seat at the table, and he is desperately interested in what we want because he knows that's what the American people want. But let me address something real quick that Conrad touched on, and it was about the blueprint and some of the things that are out there. The Democrats have also figured out if they're going to stop the Republicans, they're going to stop the conservative movement. The only way they're going to do that is draw division within ourselves. We've seen it happen. They're actually instigating Democrat talking points to try to get conservatives to back them. Now, this isn't new. Things have happened before. Let me just read you a few statements. I think it'll be amazing. You may think that if you've been on my Facebook that this may be my Facebook page or some of the other conservatives, the House Freedom Caucus. If I was there, we would be winning. We would not be retreating if I was there. It takes someone willing to fight. You are inept. You're destroying the cause. Because of you, we're going to lose our country. You are a coward. These guys are living off the taxpayers, not doing what we sent them to do. You should be removed from office immediately. You should be shot. Nothing will improve until you are out of office. You are a disgrace. You have given in on two major battles. You are nothing but a puppet. Those are actually comments that were made about George Washington during the American Revolution. Believe it or not. Absolutely. Those were things that were said about George Washington. Why? Because George Washington learned when he was in battle, when you're facing a well-entrenched, a well-supplied, a superior army, you will never win the war if you continue on a frontal assault. If every time you try to attack the hill from the front, you're going to lose. So he learned that there was times that you retreat, there's times that you use tactics because your goal is to create a republic, not just simply win moral victories. And as they learned, as we're learning now in our conservative movement, is victory to us in the past has been how many bodies we count at the base of the hill, still clutching the "Don't Tread on Me" flag, but we never took the hill. That's when the House Freedom Caucus started looking, we have to be able to win some of these hills. Look, the reason we have Obamacare, and we still have Obamacare, is Barack Obama. The reason we have not been able to effectively push pro-life legislation, fully defund Planned Parenthood, is because of Barack Obama. But we saw we had to change our tactics because, let's take, for example, the Planned Parenthood issue. I met the other day with David Delayden, the guy who actually exposed the selling of baby parts. He did the videos. He and I were talking the other evening about our strategies of what we needed to do. Now, when he first went after Planned Parenthood, you may remember, he actually exposed Planned Parenthood several years ago about how they were performing abortions. It outraged all of us who were pro-life, but it just didn't cross the larger sector, so he changed his tactics, and he started focusing on what they were doing, the atrocity of selling these baby parts. Now it became a big issue. But we still know that the primary thing we have to address is the killing of, but the real atrocity is the killing of these babies. So while we put a bill on the president's desk to defund Obamacare, to defund Planned Parenthood back in January, he vetoed it. We brought it to the floor for a veto override, and of course the Democrats didn't go along with us. We fell about 50 votes short. We did the same thing on Obamacare. As long as President Obama is president, we are never going to get rid of Obamacare. So what we did, we changed our tactics. We started disassembling pieces of it. Back in December, we suspended several of the taxes that were coming in that were going to fund Obamacare. We got rid of the bailout. A lot of people didn't realize that there is an actual bailout for insurance companies who participate in exchange, and if they lost money, then taxpayer money would bail out. We got rid of them. We got rid of the death panels. So we're changing our tactics because there's some things we need to do right now. Back in December, we also passed a resolution, or we actually passed a law that the president signed it because we put it in a must-pass piece of legislation that no federal funds can be used for abortion or abortion-related services, either domestically or in foreign aid. That was changing tactics because we can actually save some babies if we can't get rid of everything. We've also started changing our tactics on some other things, some bigger issues. It still says I have a minute here. So, don't say it right there, 1 minute.
Don't believe everything you read, Gary.
I mean, he did say, look, we are making a lot of headway right now. Mia Love and I have introduced legislation that will require Congress to go to a single subject matter, so we no longer have to deal with these omnibus bills at all. Our friends in the General Assembly, Scott and Michael and Brandon and Bruce, they have to do that. They have a single subject matter. They also have a balanced budget amendment. The amendment to the Constitution. 3 weeks ago, I introduced a balanced budget amendment, which would actually give control back to Congress of the power of the purse. Look, one of the problems is we have power of the purse, but there's no longer one purse. 65% of federal spending is on autopilot. We also have all these agencies are self-funding themselves. The EPA, that through fines and assessments and fees, go right back into the EPA. That's the biggest problem. My BBA just doesn't require us to balance the budget and reduce our spending. It says all federal receipts go into one purse so that we can actually execute our power of the purse. These are the things we're doing through the Article 1 project, which my friend Mike Lee contacted me about 7 months ago. He said, Barry, we have got to go after the root of the problem. We're always chasing symptoms. Symptoms make headlines, but we've got to do the deep dive and get to the root of the problem. The root of the problem is Congress has abdicated its authority under Article 1 of the Constitution. Through the Article 1 project, we are reining these things back in, and it's also a priority of the House, the Republican conference, to reestablish our Article 1 authority. That is our highest priority right now. My balanced budget amendment, and then one other that we're introducing next week. How many of you know what BRAC is? The Base Realignment and Closure Commission. Well, that was put together when we saw that, federal government, once we start things, we tend not to get rid of them. Well, the same thing with a lot of our military bases. They've been around since World War II, and so the BRAC Commission went in and looked, are they still needed? Can we consolidate? Can we save money? My office is working on right now language for a BRAC-type commission for the federal government. So we go look at every federal agency, and if there's duplicity and it's something that we don't need to be doing, or something that these guys at the state level ought to be doing, then we'll get rid of it. And so that's another thing that we're doing with Article 1. Thank you for allowing me to be here. I did promise somebody I would say something to you. I just left a meeting with Bob Barr. Bob Barr is helping us on our campaign, and he said, Conrad, to tell you hi and all of the friends here. And our work is being noticed. It's being noticed. We're beginning to win. Freedom Works came out this week and said, Barry Loudermilk is of the best of the next generation freedom fighters. Citizens Against Government Waste gave me a taxpayer superhero champion. Only 17 people in the House and Senate got this as being the most aggressive of cutting taxpayer waste, and 2 were Georgians. There were only 2 in the House, myself and Tom McClintock out of California, another House Freedom Caucus member, 100% for cutting government waste. The other Georgian was David Perdue. We're starting to win. We're going to win, but we've got to keep it going. God bless you. Thank you for what you're doing.